and welcome to the Limitless Landscapers podcast. I'm Paula.
And I'm Charlotte.
And today we're talking about change. Lots of changes happening here. And I'm guessing a lot of you have gone through change in your business and yourself and how that impacts your business going forward. So I thought it'd be an apt conversation to have today. As the co-founders of the Landscaper Circle, we help you get more money, time, and freedom to become limitless. Through our experiences as fellow landscapers and our tried and tested methods, if you want help with your marketing, managing, or growing your business, you've definitely come to the right place. If you're a landscaper, garden designer, or supplier to the industry, then hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show. So guys, today it's all about change, and we have got a few changes on the horizon. Now, if you don't know already, Charlotte is leaving. She's going on to pastures new, so you'll be left with me and my very good and very talented assistant, Mia, who's in the office. I decided that today in this podcast, we're going to talk about change because change happens all of the time to all of us in our businesses. And what makes a change, what makes it difficult, what's easy, some tips to dealing with it. And the main thing, having the courage to make a change, because we all know it can be quite a scary time, can't it, Sean?
Definitely. Yeah, I think making a change can seem really scary, and you and your mind can make it a lot bigger than it needs to be, particularly even with small day-to-day business experiences and changes that you need to make. And sometimes it can often seem easier not to make the decision, but actually you're like prolonging it.
Yeah. And I think it's all about having the courage to actually decide to make the change. I think it's first about making the right decision. So I've been in this position multiple times in my businesses, and it's making a decision first before then taking the courage to take the next step and change whatever it might be that you are doing or not doing. An example I have is I've recently closed my e-commerce online shop. Now, I've tried it twice, and for various reasons, mainly supply issues and pricing going through the roof, I had to make the decision to close it. But I put it off for ages because I thought, what if it goes well? What if I'm missing a trick? I don't want to feel like a failure, so I won't do anything at all.
Those aren't reasons to not make the change.
Yeah, they're not reasons. And it's really just all about fear and all about having the courage to overcome that fear and then make the right change for you. So Charlotte had to have the courage to speak to me about the changes she wanted to make in her life.
Yeah, and I think that decision wasn't an easy one to make, and the hardest part for me as well, particularly if you work with friends or relatives or your partner. It's really hard to then have that conversation. That for me was the hardest bit, absolutely. Even though I wasn't leaving for any bad reasons or anything like that, just my goals changing. Talking to Paula was so scary because Paula was like, am I scary? I was like, no, it's not that. It's I've got more to lose. And I think often with big changes in business, you have that I've got more to lose feeling.
Yes. And I think this can happen whether you're changing career, whether you decide that you're going to get rid of someone that isn't working out for your business, but perhaps not even for bad reasons. Maybe they're just not a right fit. You can hesitate on that decision to the point where it doesn't feel right and you lose the courage and you never make a change and nothing gets better. So I think it's all about dealing with the courage, dealing with the fear, harnessing the courage and making the changes you need to make your business better and your life better.
And I also think as well, it's trusting your gut. So often, not just when you make these big decisions, but even with clients that you really should have said no to, but you've said yes to, and now you completely regret it. Your gut knows those things and can sense those things, but often we override it with our brain.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've had a couple of instances in the past, one pretty bad one, which we'll probably discuss more at Virtually Limitless, where I kind of knew we had a gut feeling we shouldn't take on the work, and it's bit us in the bottom some 5 years later. So it is true. You must trust your gut, have the courage, make the changes and the decisions that you need to move forward. I wish I'd listened to my gut 5 years ago, but hey, we all have
learning experience.
Nothing's ever a failure.
No.
Remember that. So sometimes you won't make changes or you'll put off decisions because you're scared that it's failing. Mine was the online shop. I still feel like I've failed. However, the other part of me is I've learned a lot of lessons about e-commerce, about trading online, and I've also learned a lot about myself and what I can do. So everything's a learning opportunity. So I wouldn't say it's a failure. It's just an opportunity to learn. And also, if I never had done it, I'd have been always thinking, what if? And sometimes it's better to just try something than to have those what if moments later on in your life.
Oh, those what if moments could truly just make you miserable. That's the thing. Although it may be hard to make change, to make any decision that you've got in your business or in your career, it may be hard, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. I guess I'm saying like the long-term negative connotations of not making that change outweigh the initial maybe hard conversations or hard decisions you've got to make, and whether that's with clients or with yourself and your business.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to making a change in your business, I've done it multiple times in my businesses, and sometimes you can deliberate on the decision first, and that can take months, maybe even years. And in that time, things change, and you might then never make the change that you wanted to in the beginning. So I'm here to tell you, just go for it. Just trust your gut. Think about the changes you want in your business, and if they are hard conversations, go and have them today. If that's what it takes. Bite the bullet.
Yeah,
bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Charlotte probably deliberated for longer than she wanted to before speaking to me. But
we're not saying that it's an easy decision, like lots of sleepless nights. I mean, I'm a classic overthinker anyway, so it was like not thinking straight, thinking for a couple of weeks. But as soon as I'd made that decision, like with anything, like when I left my previous role to join TLC and things like that, once I've made the decision and made it in my head, which does take me a while to get there, then I need to bite the bullet, because I know if I don't have the conversation with people, or if I don't do what I need to do, then I'm going to waver in the decision.
Yeah, in the decision. And then it becomes more of a questionable thing. You don't feel so 100% behind it, and then your conviction's lacking, and then you probably won't get around to doing it. And so the cycle begins again. Because ultimately, anything you're thinking about changing, or you've got a big decision that you can't make, ultimately, if you leave it and long enough for it to go away, it will come around again. It won't just disappear. It will come around again for you to deal with in a few months' time, maybe weeks' time, if you're lucky, in a few days' time. So
yeah. And what was the guy that we saw at Hampshire Business Expo?
Brad Burton.
That's the one. So I'm a big believer, and this might be a bit woo for some people, but I know Paula's the same as well, that the universe will send you signs as well. And again, it's like trusting your gut. Often we just shut it off. But we went to this talk, and he was like, that decision you don't want to make, no, not that one, the one you really don't want to make, he was like, you've got 24 seconds to make it. And if you can't make it in 24 seconds, you've got 24 minutes. And if you can't make it in 24 minutes, you've got 24 hours. And if you can't make it in 24 hours, then it's not an important decision. And I think that can also be applied to anything that involves big change, because that for me was like, does he see right through me? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think, paying attention to the universe and just making those decisions and having a limit on when you're going to make the decision.
Yeah, that was a huge talk actually for both me and Charlotte. Charlotte won the book, Now What, and I'd highly recommend reading it. I've read it cover to cover, and I'm reading it again now, because there's a lot of now what moments in my life at the moment that I'm dealing with. And also, I kind of knew in that talk that Charlotte wasn't 100% happy. And don't ask me why, but I just knew that when we left that talk, that things were going to change. So there's lots of moments in life that things happen and you think it's going to change, but you put it off and you'll just ignore it. And I think we're here to say, do something about it. If you want to make changes, go ahead, do them. Trust your gut. Look to the universe for signs. If you're that way inclined, we are. And just go ahead and do it, because there's nothing worse than regret. And there's nothing worse than wishing you'd done something earlier, sooner, quicker, made that change different. And it doesn't have to just be a business. It can be in your life. One of the things that Brad did say at the thing was tell someone you love them. So just simple things like that you probably don't do on a day-to-day basis because life gets in the way. And actually those relationships around you that are important to you are probably suffering, you don't even realise.
And I would say as well, if it does involve, say, friends that you need to have a tough conversation with, or family, or like for me, it was having the conversation with Paula was so hard. So I knew that our friendship would survive. Yes, there's like a conversation that needed to be had, but ultimately I was like, right, I need to have this conversation, but I know our friendship can survive. If you feel like the conversation that you're going to have with a friend or a relative or a business partner, it's going to be like ruin everything, then you almost need to question that relationship anyway.
Yeah, I'd say you need to question the relationship, or how are you going into that conversation?
Yes.
Are you going into it one-sided where it's your way or the highway, or are you going into it with an open mind,
compassion, empathy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's all about putting yourself in someone else's shoes. So I could be really angry with Charlotte for leaving, or I could put myself in her shoes and think, well, this is not right. So she needs to do X, Y, and Z. Well, therefore I need to do X, Y, and Z. So it's about treating everybody with compassion, stepping in their shoes before flying off the handle or making it a closed conversation and there's no way forward. I believe that whatever conversation you've got to have with anybody, there should ultimately be a good resolution, or at least an accepted resolution.
Yeah, and it may not be that they accept it and they're happy with it straight away, but going into the conversation, if you're making a decision that impacts someone else's life, you've kind of got to say, right, I've got to be open for them if they've got questions or if they want information. And I'm very much, anyway, I want to help Paula. She's my friend. So I was like, any way that I can help, any way I can make this easier. And I think that when you have a change or a change is kind of thrown upon you, like with Paula, it forces you to reevaluate and sit and think down, because I think we're so busy all the time and we always talk about goals and things. But when you really have something that's making a big change in your business or your life, you've got to reevaluate and plan.
100%. And all I've done is reevaluate how I want to run TLC, how I want to make changes, what my original vision was, coming back to my original vision, my original why I did this in the first place, and realizing I was so far off course anyway. The best thing Charlotte's done for me is to say she's going. So I have to reevaluate everything, get back on track, get back on the vision, and get help in as many landscapes and garden designs as I possibly can through the podcast, through the membership, and through one-to-one coaching. So that has always been my goal, but I kind of slipped off it because I let Charlotte take the reins because she's so capable and good at her job. So,
and I think we also, like you may have in your own business, you see the new thing or the best thing, or you think, oh my god, like
magpie syndrome,
yeah. And even in like personal life as well, we're like, oh, have you seen this? Like we're both very much egging each other on in a way, and I think that doesn't help. And I think also we've spoken before about the services you offer, and Done For You was amazing. It allowed us to grow to the place that we are, and we're not turning off completely necessarily, but realizing that actually we'd become really reliant on that, and that had become my focus when the original basis for the whole thing was TLC membership.
Yeah, so it's going back to the roots. And I think when you do want to make changes in your business, or someone brings you a decision like Charlotte did to me, that initially might feel devastating and a real now what moment, I think it's great because it gets you to reevaluate. Just think about it from that perspective. What's the good and the positive from whatever they're telling you, or whatever the changes that you're going to be telling them? It's not all bad news. Things can change for the better. You can reevaluate yourself, your business, your life, and move forward. So
one last thing.
Go on.
Seeing that positive and that silver lining. Also, something that Heidi's taught us, I think, for both of us, is I already had a couple of weeks in work up and I'd already thought about things. So I could already see that there was going to be a positive and a silver lining. If you're having a conversation with someone else, they're not yet there yet.
No.
They need processing time. They need time to have what you've already had the past, however long you've been making the decision. They haven't had any of that. So you need to give them time and space. And even if it's uncomfortable for you, give them time and space to be able to process it, and also say, you know, I'm here if you've got questions or anything like that. But ultimately, they're not at the same place you are. So it's
being aware.
It's being aware and not expecting for them to immediately be okay. But as we said, change isn't easy, but it's worth it sometimes.
It is. And on that subject, if you would like to invest in yourself, your business, make changes to your business, but you're not sure where, you're feeling stuck, probably a bit demotivated, it's coming into winter, what a rubbish time when you're a landscaper, garden designer and planting specialist, we have Virtually Limitless 2.0. Now this is the event of the year, I like to call it, and it's on Monday the 6th of December, and it is jam-packed full of speakers who are there to inspire you, motivate you and educate you in order to develop your business, develop yourself, and go into 22 feeling a bit more excited, feeling more planned and ready, and maybe giving you a few strategies that you can implement ready for 2022.
Yes, I know that if you're struggling with getting more stuff done, we've got Miles there who we've been working with for productivity. I myself am going to be going through one strategy. So if you've got that magpie syndrome we were talking about, then this is one strategy that you can use for 2022. And Paula's going to be talking more about her journey, the now what. So as we say, we've got a panel and all lots of exciting things.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. And we've got the early bird tickets at the moment. The link will be in the show notes, so you can grab your ticket at a much reduced price. Prices go up some point in November. So if you want a cheap ticket, click the link below. It will not disappoint you. We have some amazing speakers. I would like to say one headline speaker in particular who sold his business to £70 million, just a drop in the ocean there. And so if you want to come and see us, see other speakers, get your ticket. If you've got any questions about change, or you just want to come and dry my tears as Charlotte leaves, please feel free to email or call us on the usual channels. It's been great. Speak to you later.